What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. It is Monday. That means we are making another simple, easy to make recipe that you can make in your home kitchen. This week, we're going to make one of my absolute favorite desserts, baked goods, whatever you want to call it, a cinnamon roll. These take a little bit of time. We've got to let the dough proof and rise. You need to dedicate a bit of time, but nothing really too complicated here. Let's jump in the kitchen and we'll show you how to make a homemade cinnamon roll. So we are going to start making our cinnamon rolls with a little bit of yeast. This is fresh yeast. You may be more familiar with the active dry yeast. We're going to use the exact same procedure here. I have a bit of this left over from the McRib video, which you might have seen. It's linked up in the top corner if you didn't. So what we need to do is activate this yeast mixture in a bit of warm liquid. In this case, I'm going to use milk to make my dough and a bit of butter and just crumble it into the mixture and lightly whisk this to combine. Okay, we'll set this aside for about 10 minutes. So while the yeast is proofing, this is a good opportunity to prepare our dry ingredients. Bit of all-purpose flour to start. Bit of white sugar. And we'll just lightly combine these. And we'll set up our mixer. All right, we'll put our dry ingredients in here. I almost forgot a teaspoon of salt. And start this on the lowest speed. I'm going to drizzle in the butter, milk, and yeast mixture. After about 3 minutes, we're going to add the rest of our flour, about another 2.5 cups. Lightly flour my cutting board and my hands, and then turn the dough out onto the board. Basically just going to knead this until it's nice and elastic and smooth, about 8 minutes or so. After about 8 minutes of kneading, we're just going to form this into a ball. Take our dough, lightly oil a large bowl, and in goes our dough. Cover with some plastic wrap, and we'll set this aside for about 2 hours or until it's doubled in size. So after about 2 hours, we will have something that is more or less doubled in size. We'll start off by punching this down a little bit to deflate it, and then moving it onto our cutting board. We're going to roll this out basically to the size of my cutting board or so, about 15 inches by 11 inches or so, basically into a big rectangle. You can use a rolling pin once it gets going. I think it's a bit optional, but I'll do a little bit with the rolling pin. Once it's into the rectangle, we're going to add room temperature butter all over, leaving about 1 inch on all sides as a border. So our filling is really easy to make. We just need a bit of brown sugar and a bit of cinnamon. We'll whisk this lightly to combine. Okay, we'll head over to our dough. And then sprinkle in our cinnamon sugar over top of our dough. Once all of our sugar and butter is on, we're going to gently roll this into a log. When you get to the end, just gently pinch the two sides together. And rotate so the seam side is against the cutting board. We're just going to cut this down into equal pieces. Lightly butter a baking dish. Then add our cinnamon buns cut side up. Like before, we'll cover these in plastic wrap and set aside to proof for 40 to 45 minutes. So I let these proof for a little bit longer, about an hour, and they should have risen up a little bit. We'll put these in the oven for about 20 minutes until golden brown. After about 20 minutes or so, they'll be nice and golden brown. We'll set these aside, let them cool off, just enough time to make our frosting. And this might be one of the easiest frostings ever. Got cream cheese, equal parts of butter, and equal parts of icing sugar. And of course, about half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now all we need to do is whip this up, and we've got frosting. So just drizzle the frosting on, and then use the back of a spoon just to spread everything out over top. There we go, a homemade cinnamon roll. Let's give it a try. It's fantastic. Thanks for watching. See you next time.